Hello, this is Bess Hawthorne, and I meant to say on the last episode that I have started to go to every 2 weeks for the summer and maybe longer than that. For those of you that have been listening weekly, I really appreciate it. Now it'll be every 2 weeks, so be sure to tune in. I'm still here and still recording, and I'm so glad you're joining me. One more thing, I lead the conversation awry by saying giblet, talking about gravy, and have since learned that it's giblet. So for all of you experts out there, I've learned the error of my ways. It comes up in the conversation, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm so excited you're joining me today. Today I have a very special guest all the way from Georgia. Her name is Jessica Simon. She has been married to her husband, Andy, for 16 years. They have 3 children ranging from 8 to 12. The 12-year-old is almost 13, so they're about to jump into the teenage years, which is very exciting. And her friend recommended her for this podcast and has this to say about her. She is a hospitality queen. Each summer, she invites folks over to her home on Sunday evenings to be fed physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's been such a gift to gather with others, share our life stories, and witness God's kingdom here on earth, all while the kiddos laugh and play in the background. She's always bringing new mamas nourishing meals and feeds her family of 5 fresh, wholesome foods. I think she'd be an excellent fit for your podcast. And I agree. So I am very excited to jump into all of the ways that you do hospitality, all of your recommendations, your favorite recipes, all the hot tips you have for us. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Your friend mentioned the Sunday evening gatherings. Tell us a little bit about that and also what else you do.
A couple of years ago, I think right after COVID, maybe, we started hosting community group. We had never done that before. I'm not sure why, but we started hosting community group. And so we enjoyed that, really enjoyed having people there in our home once a week for that. And then we ended up hosting again the following year. The following year, we had a huge group. And so when our community groups run August to May, and so when our community group ended that May, my husband and I were like, oh, we don't want to stop. Like we have loved having people here so much. We don't want to stop. And so Sunday night dinners were born, and they are what they sound like. It's just dinner on Sunday nights at our house. We do it in the summer just because during the school year, there's community group, so we've got it there. But yeah, that's it. It's an open invitation to anybody we know, anybody we run across. Actually, Sarah, who recommended me, the way that I really got to know her was they were newish to our church, not super new, but newish. And my husband met her husband at church one morning and was like, hey, we're having people over for dinner tonight. Y'all should come. And they did.
That's so much fun.
We do really enjoy, we just really enjoy having people in our house. And it's really funny because I would say he's definitely an extrovert. I'm definitely not, but we still both really love having people here, but for different reasons. He just likes having people around. So even on the weekends of the women's retreat when I'm out of town, he always he will find all the guys whose wives are at the retreat, and he's like, hey, come on over, bring the kids. I know you also don't have a wife around this weekend. Let's eat together and let the kids play. He can always be counted on to do that. Whereas if he goes out of town, I'm like, all right, let's hunker down and watch a movie and eat something he doesn't like. We have very different ideas about that. So he really enjoys it just because he likes to have people. He just loves being around people. I like having a job. I like having a job. I want to know that I have helped other people foster those relationships. And also it takes the pressure off me if I'm oh, I got to take care of this, or I need to go pick that up. But here, have you met so-and-so? I think y'all would really like each other, so we do really enjoy opening our home up to other people though. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. When you're out of town and he does it, does he do a potluck? Where everybody brings something, or does he man the grill and buy all the groceries and do everything?
Sometimes he gets pizzas. Sometimes he cooks. We actually just got a smoker. We didn't have a grill before that, so his options were kind of limited. But I think last time they did, I feel like maybe he might have made taco stuff. I think it just depends on his mood. Just depends on what he's feeling like that day.
Oh, well, that's a great idea because the guys can get it together too. There's no requirement that the lady be in the kitchen doing all of the things. The guys
So,
can easily come up with something, and I bet it's amazing food. It's going to involve meat, most likely. Well, pizza's a good option, but yeah, usually it's going to be like, okay, what kind of meat are we going to grill or smoke?
now that he just got that smoker, I have no doubt that there will be lots of. He had been wanting one for a long time. Like, let's be clear, he had wanted one for a long time, but we finally broke down and bought one because we had to take a break from hosting last summer. We started the summer, and then we had a family emergency, and we spent most of our summer doing our normal weekly stuff and then going down to Florida for the weekend to be with his parents. And so we couldn't host last summer. We were where we needed to be. So like, that's fine. But we really missed it. And we're really looking forward to doing it again this summer. And I was like, I think it's time. Like, you should buy a smoker. Like, I'm so excited. Like, we're going to feed all these people with our smoker. So I think that now that he has that, he is going to be like, what meat can I cook now? Like, what are we going to do now?
Shop the sales. Well, that's very fun. And yes, hospitality looks different at different times in life. It's very true that sometimes you can't do your normal routine, which is maybe a bit more fun than driving down and helping family members who are in need. But that's also hospitality. What you were doing last summer very much counts and is very needed, especially when somebody is down.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of having loads of people over, what is a favorite menu you might choose to serve for dinner or lunch or whenever you have them over? You have them over in the evenings, right? Usually.
Yeah. In the evenings, I have thought about what food I was going to tell you about. So the funny thing is one of my favorite go-to meals right now when I'm cooking for other people is a recipe that I got from your podcast.
Hey, we can do a double recommend. That means it is really good.
It is good. Listen.
And a compliment to whoever first put it up there.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
That Indonesian chicken, we make it all the time. All the time.
Yes, that was Becca Merkel's podcast.
Yep. So I can't talk about that one. She already did.
Well, hey, double recommend. Shout out to Becca. If you look up that recipe on comeoverfordinner.com on the index, you can click on Indonesian chicken and it will take you to her link, her blog post, and it'll be there and you can recreate it this summer.
And I have to tell you, because it has peanut butter in it, if you have a peanut allergy in your family like we do, you can make it with almond butter and it is excellent.
Chef's kiss. That is a good recommendation. That's true because sometimes you think, oh, well, it has peanut butter, I can't do it. But yeah, and any other nut butter I bet would substitute in pretty good. And almond would go really good with Indonesian.
Mm-hmm. People ask every time. It always makes me laugh because like almond butter, like it's just not as smooth as peanut butter. And every single time people say, what are the spices in this? I'm like, it's the almond butter.
That makes it a little bit different. Do you make any other changes? There is a spicy element to it. I can't remember what sauce it is, like gochujang or something.
I leave out the spicy just because I'm a wimp. I leave that out. I do almond butter instead of the peanut butter. I think that's the only change I made. That's it.
Okay. Well, Indonesian chicken and what else?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about avocado chicken salad. That's a favorite. It's another favorite. Nobody ever complains about it. It's like easily customizable because like there are cilantro people and not cilantro people. My husband doesn't eat dairy. So like his, like we can leave the dairy out and it's still good. It's gluten-free, which is important at our house because my son has a wheat allergy. So like avocado chicken salad, it does not have a fancy name. We have a friend who calls it chicken guacamole.
It's like guacamole with chunks of chicken in there.
Yeah, so it's just I like to use rotisserie chicken in this recipe. I don't know I can't remember if Sarah put it in the email or not, but I really have a hard time with raw meat. And like I can deal with raw meat if I need to. I can be a big girl and I can handle it. But if I don't have to do raw meat, I prefer that.
Right.
Rotisserie chicken is just really tasty. So like I go to Sam's and just get like rotisserie chicken, and then I have my husband pull it off the bone for me. it's just rotisserie chicken chopped up. When I'm making it for, this is how much when I'm making it for a group. I don't normally make it just for our family for dinner. So like it's normally to feed at least 2 or more families. So I use a whole rotisserie chicken and then 4 avocados and cilantro or not cilantro, depending on who you're feeding, lime juice, onion, salt, and pepper. That's it. And it's delicious.
That sounds amazing. Speaking of rotisserie chickens, Sam's and Costco, they sell them for really cheap. I mean, you can get a rotisserie chicken for like $5. So it is an amazing way to go because, yeah, you can just get it, shred it. I love doing that ahead of time and putting it in a freezer bag. And then it's ready to go anytime you need it for soups, or maybe your recipe would work for that. I don't know. If you may want it fresh for your salad, I'm not sure, but anything that it could go in, if something frozen could be defrosted and it still be good, would be amazing. And on the note of being grossed out by handling raw meat or even cooked meat, just deboning a chicken. So I've seen a hack. I don't know if it works, but a woman puts a cooked rotisserie chicken in a Ziploc bag, seals it, and then just kind of rolls it back and forth and then pulls out the bones. Supposedly, you can do that and it debones it just kind of with the movement. You're massaging the chicken, I guess. And yeah, you just pull out the bones and there's your meat left over. I cannot attest to this because I have not tried it yet, but I thought, might do that with the next rotisserie chicken that I get.
Try it.
Hot tip.
My husband would be delighted since he's the one who usually pulls the chicken off the bone for me. So.
A fast way to do it. The other trick, which I know this has been mentioned on here before, but if you decided you were just going to throw a bunch of chicken breasts in the oven, you can season them, salt and pepper, just cook them. Instead of having to maybe dice them or shred them with forks, the fast way to do that is to put it into your KitchenAid mixer and just, I guess it's the beater blade, have the beater blade on, put a few chicken breasts in there and turn it on for just a few seconds and then turn it off and it shreds the chicken. It doesn't pulverize it. I mean, it would if you kept it on for a long time, but just until it starts breaking it up, and it works so well. Anyway.
I need these dealing with meat tips. I need them all.
Can you tell that I do too? I can handle all of the meat things, but it's not my absolute favorite. I remember when I was first pregnant with my very first child, and I was so sick. And the worst thing was the raw chicken, trying to cook. Had been married for a bit, but you're still kind of newlyweds, and the meats were the worst. It was terrible trying to get through that. So I do feel your pain when it comes to meat. I got better.
The first time I tried to cook there was a part of me that was like, it would be so efficient to like cook a whole chicken. This is such a waste of money. And let's cook a whole chicken. You can do it. And I was not pregnant. And I was a mother by that point. I was already feeding people food. And I had to call my mom. I was like, what am I supposed to do? And she was like, okay, you got to stick your hand inside the chicken. And I was like, this is not happening.
When it has all the stuff you're supposed to pull out, all the giblets, the stuff for giblet gravy. When I learned what giblet gravy was, I just about died. My grandmother would make it for Thanksgiving. She would make, I guess it was turkey. I don't know. Anyway, she always had giblet gravy, and there were things swirling around in the gravy, and I did not know what giblet gravy was until I grew up and somehow was going to recreate, the Thanksgiving chicken or turkey or whatever it was and make giblet gravy. I'm like, you put what in there? What? What are you saying? No.
I have a handwritten recipe for giblet gravy that my brother-in-law wrote. One year when we hosted Thanksgiving, he wanted gravy and found out I wasn't making it. And so he was like, I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to get her recipe. I'll make it. And so I have kept the recipe. I was pregnant with my first child then. So it's been 13 years. And I've kept it because, it's in Bradley's handwriting, but I keep it turned backwards in my recipe notebook so that I don't actually have to see what it says. Just there.
That's pretty great. We have gotten far away from using all the parts of the animal. Well, not far away actually. We do pretty good with not wasting, but there was a resurgence a little while back, a few years back about the whole tip to tail, use every bit. I'm like, well, I'm okay with letting the giblets go.
Some parts I have to use.
Yes, yes. So back to your avocado chicken salad. That sounds amazing and delicious. Perfect for summer. Do you serve anything with it?
So I do serve it with sourdough, and I know you've had 1.5 million people talk about sourdough. So I do serve it on sourdough. And then because my son has a wheat allergy, I like to make a loaf of gluten-free bread also to go with it.
Do you
And
have
then
any recommendations on how to do that? I recently bought Bob's Red Mill and it said something about 1-to-1, like you could gluten-free flour and you could do a 1-to-1 ratio. And I made some chocolate chip bars from them for a party that we were having for my sister who was moving, who abandoned me and left me. She's listening to this right now in Texas. She moved recently from Idaho, my twin sister. Anyway, we threw a party, a farewell party, and I made lots of different desserts. And I did make one gluten-free option. But what I noticed about even the 1-to-1 ratio is they were crumbly. They tasted fine. The taste was there, but they were pretty crumbly. And I thought, something, it shouldn't have been 1-to-1 ratio. Maybe it should have been less flour. I don't know. What are your recommendations about that for people who don't cook on a regular basis with gluten-free flour?
in my experience, and I do really love to bake, and I'm realizing that the question I forgot to prepare for was dessert. Anyway, it's fine. That's what I really enjoy the most is making sweet stuff. And so in my experience, King Arthur gluten-free 1-to-1 is there are some things I can make like chocolate chip cookies. I can make those and you'd probably never know that they were gluten-free. They're pretty much identical. It doesn't work as well in some other things like cinnamon rolls. I'm still trying to like find the right gluten-free cinnamon roll recipe. Those never turn out light and fluffy like you want, even with the 1-to-1 flour. But with bread, I use like a gluten-free specific recipe, and a good gluten-free recipe is going to like accommodate for some of those differences because gluten-free flour is it's just not the same. It's just not. Even if it's a 1-to-1, it's not going to be the same. The King Arthur 1-to-1 works great for me in like cookies, brownies, stuff like that. But bread, cinnamon rolls, like I'm still working on those. I do have a gluten-free bread recipe that I like. And it's good if you're going to eat it all in one day.
Okay, so the leftovers are not good.
No, they fall apart if you look at them wrong. But they are
So
good
after
to take.
a day, they kind of get a little dry and crumbly and you just need to toss it. Okay. Well, we may post that if you have a good or a favorite gluten-free bread, because I'm not sure if we have one on the website. And I thought of that recently, like, I need some good gluten-free recipes for when I have to pull that out of my arsenal, and I don't really have an arsenal. I have 0 gluten-free recipes. One time I made gluten-free muffins for a friend, and I didn't taste them before I gave them to her, and I'm really not sure what they tasted like, and I'm a little scared now after having, tasting those brownies, and they tasted fine, but the texture wasn't quite there. And so with the muffins, I had gone to a grocery store that has a bulk section, and it was called gluten-free flour, and I just used it 1-to-1, made the muffins, and they looked nice. They looked fine. I'm hoping they tasted fine because after I delivered them, I was reading online about gluten-free and it said something about, I don't know, it was saying something about making changes like, oh, no, you can't use flour 1-to-1. It's like, oh, oops. Or maybe you're supposed to let the flour sit in the wet ingredients for a little bit to soften. I don't know. There was these recommendations and I didn't do any of them. And I thought, well, that was a fail. So I should probably experiment a little bit. Anyway, she never did tell me what they tasted like. I don't know. They could have been good. Hopefully they were good.
I'm sure they were.
We'll have to get some of your favorite recipes though. And speaking of desserts, you may not have a favorite dessert in your head, but you said you love to make desserts or sweet things. So do you have a favorite recipe you might pull out when company's coming over?
Yeah. So if I'm like really planning ahead of time and like thinking about things, the garden has a chocolate mocha icebox cake that is so good. It is
Mm.
so good. My little sister requests that sometimes for like holidays. Like it's so good. And it's been a while since I've made it. So I can't tell you what's in it other than mascarpone cheese. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but it's got mascarpone cheese in it and like a splash of Kahlua. And oh, it's got like cookie crumbles on the bottom. It's
That
really good.
sounds amazing for summertime. If it's an
Yeah.
icebox cake, that would be cold.
Hmm.
Oh, that sounds delicious, and it sounds like something you can make ahead of time and just have
Yes.
ready. I don't know, I
Yep.
mean, with the cookies in the bottom, she surely has a recommendation, like how far ahead you could make it. Maybe you do have to make it the
Right.
day of, but I bet maybe you could make it the day before. Speaking of making things the day before, with your menu, is there a shortcut or time saver you use when you're making this, planning for people to come over so you're not having to do all of it at the last minute?
Yeah, so you can easily make that chicken salad like ahead of time, even with the avocado in it. Like, if there are some things you can do to help keep it from turning brown. So the lime juice in it helps with that. But then also, I leave the pits like when I scoop the avocado out, I leave the pits like actually in the chicken salad. The person who first introduced me to avocado chicken salad, that's what she did. And I was like, why do you leave those in there? And she said, well, it helps keep it from turning brown. I don't know if it helps, but I still do it because she said. So I leave the pits in there. The lime juice helps with the browning. And then also I like to take, some people won't like this, but it is what it is. I take like the press and seal stuff, like it's like not saran wrap, but the press and seal. And then you just push it all the way down flat on top of the chicken salad and then put the lid on your bowl and it keeps it from turning brown. So like you can easily make it a time and it stays fresh until you're ready to eat it. We've made it before and like had tons left over and we've eaten it for lunch for days and days before we were like, this is actually starting to look kind of gross. It's time to get rid of that.
A good
So,
recipe. Yes, if you cover it and get all the air out, the air is what's making it turn.
right.
So that's a great tip.
Yep.
What is your best prep tip when you're having all these people coming over? And by the way, on the summer evenings, do you usually have it outside or do you have people in your house where you're setting tables?
We had one summer where I tried to be like, this is outside. This is an outside thing. Like, y'all don't need to be in our house. Like, it's just outside. But the truth is, like, we live in the South. Like, it's hot and it's muggy. And that wasn't as like, some people didn't care, but some people were like, I mean, it's kind of warm today. So I think we're going to skip,
We
which
need to be in some air conditioning.
yes, I don't blame them. And so we quickly realized like no, people have to be like you have to be able to come in our house. Like it's fine. I don't know what possessed me to feel like they didn't need to be in the house to begin with, but you get older and you change. But we don't like I don't really set the table. It's a very relaxed cuz we just want people to like feel comfortable like showing up and hanging out and enjoying themselves, I guess. And so I mean, we clean the house, obviously, like we pick up, but people sit outside on the back porch and eat. People sit inside and eat. Kids walk around the yard with their plates while they eat and play. Like we don't have like a nice table set or anything like that. It's very casual.
That's very much how we did it when we were in the South. We had, well, I was going to say we would have the doors open, but that would really be more like springtime. When it was summertime, the air conditioning was going and the doors was shut, but there were people inside, there were people outside. I just made sure the bathroom was clean and people knew where it was.
Mhm.
And whoever, like you're saying, whoever wanted to sit and get cool could be inside, but most of the time, if all the adults were talking outside, people generally were outside. But if they needed to go in and get ice water or go to the restroom or whatever, it was totally fine. We were very in and out.
Yeah.
So, what is your best prep tip when you're preparing for all these people coming over? Do you look in a particular spot for certain cooking inspiration? Do you just go back to tried and true recipes? Do you have a shopping tip or a cleaning tip? Anything like that you want to share?
So when I'm deciding what to make, like that, there's no tip there. It really just depends on my mood. Really and truly, many times I have gone, you have so many now. Like I have gone to your website and been like, oh, this sounds good. Or I heard so and so talking about this on the podcast. That sounded fun. So some weeks I do that. Some weeks it's like we've been really busy and I just need to make something. So like that's when we go back to the tried and true. I honestly feel like my best hospitality tip, and I might be skipping ahead, I'm not sure. I feel like my best hospitality tip is to do it so often that you don't have time to be scared of it. You know, like it's like if you're doing it every week, like you did it, like you got the house clean and you did it, and then you went about your week and like, oh, it's time to do it again. Like I don't have time. I don't have time to spend a bunch of time being like, are the baseboards clean? Have we cleaned the blinds? Like, how does it look in here? People were just here last week,
Yes,
you know? So,
I agree with that. We recently had a lot going on over the weekend and had family coming for dinner. We had a birthday party and about 8 people, maybe 9 people. But it was such a busy time that, like you're saying, I didn't have time to overthink it or super plan or super prepare like I would have preferred. And I remember flying in and setting the table and getting it looking nice and thinking, something's missing. Oh, well, I've got to go to this next event. And everybody, when we finally did have everybody here sitting down to eat, I realized no one has a napkin. But no one cares either. I mean, no one cares. And so it was kind of funny. I'm going around the table handing everybody their napkin after we were all started, So it's just is what it is. And yes, you get better at being able to go fast and also letting things go or laughing if you don't have it perfect. It's going to be fine.
yep. My other tip is to always get dressed first. I've spent so many, I mean, not summer dinners necessarily because we already, you're already dressed for church and then you come home but so many other things we've hosted that I've been like, okay, I got to do this, this, and this. And then I'll go get dressed. And then like getting like looking nice never actually happens. And so now I've learned like, just do that first. Just do that first.
That is actually great advice because I have had the thought of, oh, I'll get in warm, comfy sweatpants or, something like that, just winter cozy pants before company comes over, I'll change. That does not happen. I have had company, I don't know how many times, walk in or they're about to walk in, and I have these big, puffy, black, fuzzy pants on and slippers, and I'm realizing company's here and I'm still in my slippers. What in the world? So I'm having to race back and go change. I've kind of had that thought to myself. Note to self, from now on, just put on what you're going to be wearing when they walk in. Don't think you're going to have time to change once you get started in all the last minute craziness. You won't.
Because there's one more thing that you could do. Like there's always one more thing. So just get dressed first. Just do that first.
That's a great, great piece of advice. What is your best advice for showing warm hospitality to those coming into your home? How do you make them feel welcome once they've arrived?
So it seems like a really silly thing, but I usually send them a text message beforehand and just say, hey, the door is unlocked. Like, please just come on in. And usually my kids are so excited that they're watching for them anyway. But like, I just want them to feel like not like they're at home because they have a home, but but just like, hey, like I could just walk right in, like that's fine. And so that's what we like, is for them to just feel like, hey, we're so glad you're here, like just come on in, go find a drink. And
I like that approach. I mean, that's definitely an option. I recently had someone do that to me too, that said like, we'll be in the back or we may not hear you. Just come in when you get here. And that's a great idea. And so, yeah, we got there and just walked in. We knew what to do. We weren't standing on the porch awkwardly like, what do we do? No one's coming to the door. No one's answering. So, yeah, I haven't thought of that before. I should do that. Because sometimes you're outside grilling or something like that, and you do want people to just feel like they know what to do when they get there. They're not having to beat the door down or try to come and find you or figure out, do I make a phone call or whatever. I mean,
yes.
usually you're going to anticipate when they arrive. But anyway, just that's a good thought. Before we move forward, a big thank you to the sponsors for supporting today's episode. Are you searching for hands-on activities to help your kids explore the practical side of science? Look no further than your kitchen. Inquisicook blends food science and culinary arts into an engaging program that puts delicious food on the family table. Let Inquisicook do the teaching with lesson videos, reliable recipes, and assessment tools that put students on track for success. Their online platform is easy to navigate and optimized for mobile, so the learning experience can move from the classroom to the kitchen without a hitch. Inquisicook turns curious students into intuitive cooks, not just recipe followers. Say goodbye to the tyranny of the ingredients list and say hello to utilizing what's in season, what's on sale, or what's in the fridge. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. Today's culture shifts like sand, but New St. Andrews College is established on Christ, the immovable rock. The college is a premier institution that forges evangelical leaders who don't fear or hate the world. Guided by God's Word, equipped with the genius of classical liberal arts and God-honoring wisdom, with a faculty dedicated to academic rigor and to God's kingdom, New St. Andrews College offers an education that frees people. To find out more, visit nsa.edu. So with having big groups over and you kind of have a self-serve station, do you have that for food and drinks?
Yeah, so we have like a whole drink station set up. So when you walk into our house, it's a relatively open floor plan. It's like you walk in, and then usually we'll have the food. Our dining room table is kind of to the left, like in the front of the house. And so we usually have food set up there so that people can find their food. And then we have another table in the kitchen set up for just drinks. So, we just get like the big glass, like beverage dispensers and fill them up with water, tea, lemonade, whatever, and have cups sitting there. And I learned a long time ago, like, kids get super excited about being able to fill up their cups, like, from the beverage dispenser. And so I've learned, like, at the end of the night, like, it's pretty much covered in water and everything's a mess. And like, it's fine. It's fine. You just clean it up. It's not a big deal. Those kids were super excited about that, and nobody went thirsty.
A beverage dispenser would be a lot of fun for a kid. I hadn't thought about that. I should have that out at all the parties. It's way more fun than a water bottle. Boring.
Right? Right. There's the nozzle that turns. Like, it's so exciting.
They're going to fill up on water,
They are.
which is also a good tip for the summertime.
Yes.
What is your must-have kitchen item and where can we find it?
Okay, I thought about this one because I think there are very few things that haven't already been said. So for the actual avocado chicken salad, it's very helpful to have a citrus squeezer, to squeeze out the lime juice. I like that. I am going to tell you my most favorite thing I have in my kitchen. I guess I do use for the chicken salad too, probably. But my daughter, my 10-year-old, for Christmas, really, really, really wanted to get me a set of bowls that had lids for the sourdough, because I don't like to, be wasteful and use the press and seal all the time. I was like, I need bowls with lids. And so my daughter was just bound and determined to get me a set of bowls with lids for Christmas. And I do use them almost every day. So that's my use them almost daily kitchen item.
Well, where did she go shopping? What were her favorite ones that she picked out?
She got them at Walmart.
That's
They
so
are.
sweet.
Oh, it was precious. She and my 12-year-old were like, okay, we'll stay together, but we're going to go shopping without you in Walmart. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go get some groceries and I'll meet you at the front. And they were very sneaky, like with their bag. It was really sweet. And she was so excited to see me open them on Christmas morning. So it was great. But she picked the ones they're like shades of blue. So they're all different color blue.
Those are going to be the most treasured bowls in your kitchen just because of the story. That's a wonderful story. It's very fun when kids can start shopping and creating their own gifts. They're buying their own gifts and being excited about it on their own, independent of you.
Yep. And I got something I had really wanted.
Yes.
Useful.
Well, and a lot of times things like that you won't go buy for yourself if you think, oh, I have a bowl, I have a way that it works. You're not thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to go buy new bowls that have lids. I have a method that already works. Do you have a story for us? Funny, otherwise?
I do.
Funny or horror?
Oh, I have some. They're funny now. There are some horror stories. I'm not
It
going to tell
sounds
this
like
one.
you have multiple stories. This is going to be good.
we we live in a very just unique house. Like, it was built in the 1920s, but it's been redone so many times that, like, you'd never know. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I think just our foundation is actually original to the 20s. Like, the rest of it has been rebuilt. But one time, a whole front of my house is windows, which sounds really cool, except we also have a gravel driveway. So, like, every time you cut the grass or weed eat, you're like running the risk. We have broken so many windows in the 9 years we've lived here. It's unbelievable. But the first time this ever happened, before we realized what a hazard this was going to be, the first time we did it, I was going to have a going away party for someone who I was not especially close to, but I had the biggest out of the group of people. I had the biggest space for a large party. And so this was well before my regular hosting years. And so it was like I was feeling nervous and like everything needed to be clean and perfect. And my sweet husband was outside doing the yard work and he flung a rock from the weed eater into the window. And there are one, two, three, I think there are 7 like floor to ceiling windows across the front of my house. And all of them are double paned, except for the one that apparently the guy who lived here before us had done the exact same thing. And so he had shattered the outside part of the window, but the inside part was still there. So we didn't know until my husband flung the rock into that one single pane. And so for this party of like probably 50 people, people drove up to my house and we just had plywood closing up the giant hole in the my house from where they mattered.
Oh, no. We try to plan everything perfectly. Everything's sparkling, everything's beautiful, and then a rock goes through the window.
Because he was weed eating. Like, he was just trying to make things look nice. And then
Yes,
we
the
just
best laid plans. My son, we were visiting in the South last summer, and my youngest son, he went to sit down in my daughter in law's kitchen window, had a teensy little ledge inside. I mean, it was tiny. It's not big enough for a 17-year-old to sit down in. And he was trying to do something sweet. He was sitting down, kind of crouching down to play with the toddler. And he sits down. I guess he thinks he's going to land in the windowsill and kind of, perch. He went through the window. his rear end went through the window.
oh my word.
He was horrified. Well, first I was thinking, we're going to have to take him to the ER or something, but thankfully he was not hurt. No glass went into him. It just all went out. He was fine. He was not cut, but he was just so embarrassed. And it was just so funny because, yeah, there he is crouching down to play with the babies. And he sits his rear through the window. And we have, no window, having to call a glass company. And it
Oh,
happens to the best of us. But yours is great. Yours is better. You have a party planned with all the ladies showing up.
yeah,
Just some fresh air, fresh breezes is what you had planned all along.
definitely. Definitely.
So what's your other story?
So my middle daughter wanted to throw a party. So she was already 10 at the time. This was last fall. She wanted to throw a party, which, we're very pro, the girls learning to be hospitable. Sure. Our son too, obviously, but we're talking about Natalie. So she decided she wanted to throw a party. And I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, let's do it. What kind of party are we going to have? Well, we had gone to Walmart. Let's see. I guess it was around Halloween. So I think that we decided to do it the week after Halloween and call it a fall party because we knew that like all the fall stuff was going to be on clearance at Walmart after Halloween. And so she was like, I want to have a pumpkin fall party. And she said, I want glow sticks. Like, I want lots of glow sticks. I want to hang them in the trees. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, we can do that. Glow sticks will be on clearance after Halloween too. Like, that's great. Let's do that. So she plans this party. She saves up her money so that she can buy all of the stuff for the party, like including the food. I mean, like she was very, I think I might have helped with a little bit, but for the most part, she bought all the decorations, she bought all the food. I mean, like she spent time making a plan. I let her go on Evite and like create an invitation to send to whoever she wanted to send it to. She invited she invited like a couple of families who were new to the church. Like she wanted them to come. She invited some friends they're friends from school, but they're not her age friends. They're my son's friends, but she wanted to invite them. They have little sisters that she really likes, and she loves their parents. Like she just wanted to invite them too. She invited our carpool buddy, invited all these people. And so she does this whole
You,
thing.
you had a crowd coming over.
Yes, we did. That's an important part of the story. We had a crowd coming over. Well, in the meantime, you should know that when we bought our house 9 years ago, most of our backyard was overgrown. We were sitting at the closing table, and the guy we were buying our house from was like, "Oh, by the way, there are copperheads in the backyard." And we were like, "What?" What? So we have spent, thankfully, we've only ever seen one copperhead, but we have spent the last 9 years trying to clear out this backyard and make it, like a nice place to play. So we're in the end stages of this now, which means we're at a place where there's a lot of stumps and some uneven ground where we've dug things out. And so at this party that Natalie wanted to have at nighttime so that we could have glow sticks in the trees, we forgot to buy glow sticks. We forgot to buy glow sticks.
The most important part.
Most important part. And so at this party that she has invited so many people who have never been to our house before, they were running around in our backyard with absolutely no lights at
It's
night.
pitch black.
It was pitch black. And all I could think of was all of the holes and the stumps. I was like, if we make it out of this night without somebody breaking an ankle, like it's going to be a miracle. Nobody broke an ankle, thankfully. And somehow people still had a good time. But I was just looking around at all of these people standing around in the dark in my backyard for an hour and a
Thinking,
half.
where are the glow sticks? Oh,
So we
no.
had an entire party in the dark.
What did your daughter say?
I don't remember. I think she was having a great time. I think if I had never even mentioned, like, oh, we forgot the glow sticks, I don't know that it would have occurred to her. I was
Right. She had a great party no matter what.
Yeah, a great party. And she was feeling great. Like, she had good snacks. She was happy. But
Yeah,
I was
food is
like,
the most important part. People could do without light if they have some good food.
and they did. So it all turned out fine. None
And
of
they
those,
had to.
yes, refused to come back. So that's good.
They all were up for another try.
Yes, in the daylight.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's tough when the sun goes down. What to do? Glow sticks I've never had thought of that as an option of hanging glow sticks. That's really fun, especially if you're inviting kids over. I mean, there's the twinkle lights or the outdoor globe type lights that some people put up, but what else do you do? I mean, there's candles, but you don't have those all over your yard. So glow sticks, that's
Yes.
have you
And
ever hung them up before? I mean, I know obviously you forgot this time, but had y'all ever done that before?
I had never hung glow sticks in the trees before, but I get really excited about throwing a birthday party. Like, real excited about throwing a birthday party. So we have definitely hung things from those trees before. It was not crazy to her to be like, yeah, let's hang glow sticks in
Yeah.
the tree. We do
Well,
that.
people hang paper lanterns. That's another option.
We have since put those like outdoor like globe lights on our back porch. There is some light out there now, but at the time there wasn't.
There was nothing.
Probably it became very important to me to put those lights up after that party, honestly.
Then it was top priority. Like, we will not have company over again until there's some lights out there.
Yes.
That's better than having dinner in the complete dark or almost dark. We ended up having some light issue right before we had company over. Somehow the light had gone out I don't even remember why. And then I put a lamp in there, but there was something wrong with the plug-in. It didn't work. And it was just, so then we had some candles. It was not what I had planned at all. It was definitely too dim. We ate dinner in the dark. It was just not the thing. It wasn't the fun outdoor vibe at all. It was a little stressful, but everybody seemed to have a good time. So I guess in the end, you can say, well, it's about the food and the fellowship.
Right. That's right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and for joining me today, taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share with us your favorite recipe and all of your tips and your favorite kitchen gadgets. I will post all of this on your blog post on comeoverfordinner.com. Be sure to check it out there.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Until next time, bye for now. Could you take a minute to scroll down to the bottom of the podcast page on the app you have open? After the list of my latest episodes, you'll see a place to leave a star rating and a place to write a review. If you could quickly tell why you like the podcast, this will let new listeners know what the podcast is about and why they would enjoy listening to. Also, please share the podcast with your friends. If you click the 3 horizontal dots on this page, there's a share button. Thank you for your time.